decided to ride out to 8094.
Slave labor,
That's why
right?
you're seeing those delays.
Slave order.
Either way, Kershaw for the right lane closed again in both directions. Next report coming up at 4:08, News Radio 1059 WBBM.
We've got cloudy skies and we're watching AccuWeather radar as some severe weather moves in from the west. We'll keep you posted. All your weather needs coming up in the next hour. Late tonight, a low of 47 tomorrow, high around 61. We have cloudy skies and light rain right now. We have 70 degrees at 3:59.
Featuring the news that matters.
30
news at any time. This is Chicago's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 1059 WBBM.
Coming up in the next half hour on News Radio WBBM, severe weather is streaking across Chicagoland. We'll be checking with AccuWeather to see what to expect. A man pleads guilty to murdering a Chicago police officer in 2023. Plus, Artemis 2's crew has been given the green light to head to the moon. The latest on that coming up from CBS News. Sports. Both baseball teams off, Hawks on the road to face the Oilers.
After a sharp sell-off this morning, stocks recover ever so slightly. The Dow was down 61, but the Nasdaq was up by 38 points, S&P up 7. I'm Matt Piper at Bloomberg.
Cloudy skies, 70 degrees now at 4 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. 4 astronauts will begin their journey to the moon tonight. CBS's Peter King.
The go-ahead came from Artemis 2 flight director Jeff Radigan.
We are go for TLI after the MMT concluded their deliberations a few minutes ago.
In English, the MMT is the mission management team, which gave the okay for TLI, translunar injection, the rocket firing that sends the astronauts toward the moon. Commander Reed Weissman.
All right, Jeff, we love those words. And we're loving the view.
Weissman will fire the Orion spacecraft's big engine for just under 6 minutes to break Artemis 2 out of Earth orbit. Peter King, CBS News, Orlando.
President Trump has ousted Pam Bondi as U.S. Attorney General, and she will enter the private sector. CBS's Nicole Scango with more on acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, who later became a white-collar defense attorney. He really rose to national prominence as President Trump's personal criminal defense attorney, the lead attorney in that New York hush money criminal trial, a key lawyer in the classified documents and election-related cases that were brought against the president when he was no longer in office.
CBS News has learned that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has asked Army Chief of Staff General Randy George to step down and take immediate retirement. Due to the war in Iran, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad has issued a new security alert. CBS's Cavi McCormick.
The embassy said militia groups aligned with Iran may intend to conduct attacks in central Baghdad over the next couple of days. The targets could include U.S. citizens, businesses, diplomatic facilities, hotels, and airports perceived associated with the U.S. It says Americans should leave Iraq now and not attempt to come to the embassy in Baghdad due to significant security risks.
8 people, including 3 nurses, a chiropractor, and a psychologist, have been arrested on federal charges that they schemed to defraud the nation's healthcare system out of more than $50 million. U.S. Assistant Attorney Colin McDonald says it includes running sham hospice care facilities.
The whole of government is focused on unmasking the criminal actors who are exploiting the American taxpayer.
The Environmental Protection Agency proposes for the first time to include microplastics and pharmaceuticals on a list of contaminants in drinking water. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
One analysis estimates that the average person ingests tens of thousands of microplastic particles each year through food, water, and air.
It could eventually lead to new limits on those substances for water utilities. This is CBS News.
RFK is a good guy.
Join Diana Diaz and Kelly O'Grady for the perfect start to your weekend. Ease into your Saturday with CBS Saturday Morning on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. Chicago's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 1059 and WBBMNewsRadio.com.
4:03 Thursday.
The guilty verdict.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Lisa Fielding. We have cloudy skies, 70 degrees. Watching radar now because severe weather could be bringing some strong storms and flooding downpours to Chicagoland. With more on the storms, here's AccuWeather Senior Meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Lisa, no warnings in effect at the moment, but not to say we don't have some pretty hefty downpours across parts of the area, especially in the northwest suburbs. We're watching some storms through Kane County, around Elgin, up around Carpentersville. Probably some flooding downpours of some of these, so they're producing some very heavy rainfall, and some downpours extend up into Lake and parts of McHenry counties too. Closer to Chicago, we've had some downpours around Oak Lawn, closer to Midway, and those are now shifting through the city, and we have a few more showers back toward the Joliet area as well. Tornado watch in effect till 8 o'clock this evening for McHenry, Kane, Kendall, and Grundy counties and points west. Really anywhere across the area could have some severe storms tonight, hail, damaging winds, even a tornado possible. Brian Thompson, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Our Brian, it is 4:04.
Breaking news from News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Prosecutors have announced a 55-year prison sentence for one of the people charged in the murder of Chicago police officer Ariana Preston. WBBM's Terry Keshner joins live at the anchor desk with late details. Terry.
Yeah, Lisa, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office announced just moments ago the guilty plea of 22-year-old Joseph Brooks for the 2023 murder of Chicago police officer Ariana Preston. The 24-year-old Preston, you might recall, was killed in an attempted robbery as she was coming home after the end of her shift. Brooks is one of 4 people charged in her murder, and again, it's now a 55-year sentence for him. Live at the anchor desk, Terry Keshner, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
All right, Terry, thanks so much. Local high schoolers celebrating a championship win.
A familiar tune fills an auditorium on the John Marshall Metropolitan High School campus in East Garfield Park as individual players on the boys basketball team in attendance and projected onto a large screen are met with student cheers. For the first time in nearly 20 years, the Commandos are on top. The boys 1A basketball team taking the state title, finishing their championship season 24-10, ending with an 8-game winning streak. Marshall defeating Orville 52-44 in the state championship game. Elected leaders at all levels in attendance for this win, not just for the school, but for the entire district and the city of Chicago. West Side resident and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson excited for this win.
As your mayor, as a fellow West Sider, I am proud of each and every one of you.
On the West Side, Brandon Eisen, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
A landmark designation could be coming for one of Chicago's most storied historic buildings, and it could unlock millions in public money to restore it.
Chicago's Landmarks Commission unanimously voted in favor for the former Chicago Daily News building to be recommended for preliminary landmark status and open the door to a $70 million renovation. The 26-story Art Deco structure at 2 North Riverside Plaza is one of the city's most significant buildings built before 1940 to house Chicago's first penny paper. A preliminary designation would protect the building's exteriors, its riverfront plaza, and its stunning jazz-age lobby spaces. The building changed owners in June of 2025, and now with landmark status potentially within reach, the Chicago Daily News building may finally get its moment to shine. People did speak out saying this project shouldn't happen after finding out the building is only 50% rented out to tenants. Glenn Marshall, News Radio 105.9, the WBBM.
A man died in 2016 while transporting dry ice. Now his family's lawyers in Chicago are demanding over $2 billion in damages.
Chicago-based lawyers seek upward of $2 billion in an insurance bad faith lawsuit filed Tuesday. The lawsuit stems from the death of 64-year-old Eric Johnson. He was found unconscious in his car in August of 2016 while transporting coolers of dry ice from Missouri to Arkansas for work. He died at the hospital days later. Lawyers say he was not informed of the dangers of dry ice, which is the solid form of carbon dioxide. This week's lawsuit comes about 2 months after Johnson's family was awarded $241 million in damages as the result of a wrongful death lawsuit. Carolina Garibay, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
It's 4:08 now. Time to check on the roads, traffic, and weather together on the 8th. And here's Neil Fiorito.
A really bad delay on the inbound side of the Eisenhower. Coming inbound, you're at a crawl from Manheim to Coster. That's a multi-vehicle crash. We're hearing up to 7 vehicles may be involved. 3 left lanes. That's 1, 2, 3 left lanes on the Eisenhower inbound again at Costner Avenue. Exit where you can maybe and get to Roosevelt, and then you can re-enter the Eisenhower at Costner. Once you get on from there, you're looking pretty good. An hour 17 to drive in from I-90, 53 in for Manheim. Going outbound 42 to the Mannheim Road exit and hour 5 to the Jane Addams. Travel time on the Edens through the north suburbs, 30 minutes in, 17 out. To and from the northwest suburbs on the Kennedy, you're looking at 28 to Montrose, 46 to O'Hare, and hour 3 in from O'Hare into downtown, 30 minutes off the junction. Stevenson outbound 42 if you're exiting Cicero Avenue, 55 to the Tri-State, hour 3 to the Veterans, and 53 minutes in. Southside, the Dan Ryan up to 50 almost out to the Split, 27 in from the Merge into downtown. I-57 going out 20 minutes and 28 on the outbound Ford. Roadwork from 115 to 159 backing you up. You're down to 2 lanes through December. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, stop and go northbound 18th to Chicago Avenue. Southbound traffic before north to Chicago. Delays in Graham Park and getting into Jackson Park. The Illinois Tollways, the Tri-State, a pretty big backup southbound here in spots from Half Day to Dempster, and then from the Bensonville Bridge to the Mylon Bridge and I-82 past Halstead, the other delay. The Ronald Reagan Tollway, brake lights eastbound from York Road, getting on the northbound Tri-State ramp. Route 53, roadwork delays on either side because of the right lane closed at Kirchhoff in both directions. Delays along I-80 either way through Joliet. Eastbound before Larkin and Briggs, and westbound between Briggs and Center. And then you have delays eastbound getting through Tinley Park as well. In northwest Indiana, no big headlines, just heavy traffic on 8094. Eastbound in spots from the state line to Burr, and westbound pretty heavy between Central and the Tri-State. From the Metro Traffic Center, your next report's coming up at 4:18. News Radio 1059 WBBM.
We have a tornado watch in effect until 8 p.m. for McHenry, Kane, Kendall, and Grundy counties west. And a wind advisory through 7 tonight. Warmer today, though, with rounds of showers and thunderstorms. A high late this afternoon near 70. Clearing tonight, though, a low of 47. A high tomorrow around 60. It's 70 degrees now at O'Hare. Stocks finish mixed. The Dow down 61. It's 410.
This is Rob Hart. I'm a Chevy guy through and through.
What's up, everybody? It's 410. It's crazy weather. April 2nd, 2026. Thanks for tuning in. It's SubX.News on the spot reporting. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to see what's going on today. It just, I don't know, man. It's weather. We were at 30 yesterday, 80 the day before, and 70 back. I don't know what's going to happen. Be careful. This is like tornado weather, so we have to be really careful. Thanks for checking in. I did an all-nighter tonight. I didn't go to sleep till 11 o'clock today, so I was up all day. I went from whenever I got up yesterday. I think I got up yesterday about maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then I didn't go to sleep till about 10:30 today. So, little dragging. But, hey, that's the way life goes, right? I got the weekend coming up to relax. So, that's what I figured. Hopefully, everybody's doing great. Hopefully it calms down a little bit. I don't know if it will. I have some ideas of what I want to do today, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We're listening to the radio calls. People ask me sometimes, what are you going to do today? I said, I don't know. I mean, we had a triple shooting that I went to yesterday at 35th and Rhodes. That's what we did. And we turned on the radio, shooting ham, and we drove there. That's how we do this, right? There's no really set plan. There ain't no really set script. It's kind of like life. You kind of have an idea what you want to do, how you want to live it, and you do the things to try to live it, but you can't control what happens, right? All we can control is ourselves. So that's what we try to do here at SubX.News.
Guns that are being converted into machine guns.
Right now in Illinois and across the country, semi-automatic pistols, firearms that were never intended to be fully automatic, are being converted into fully automatic weapons, which allow the people who fire them to do so at a rate of up to 1,200 rounds per minute. That's 20 rounds per second.
So it took part in a virtual briefing hosted by Everytown for gun safety. A man taken into custody during a bank robbery in the northwest suburbs. Hoffman Estates Police responded to a Huntington bank branch near Palatine and Windsor after 911 callers reported a man displayed a gun and demanded money from bank employees. Officers got there within a minute of the dispatch, went into the bank and took the suspect into custody. The man has been since transferred into FBI custody. A woman charged with several felonies in connection with a hit-and-run death of a motorcyclist in St. Charles It happened last night, intersection of Country Club Road and 5th. A witness on the scene told police that an SUV and a motorcycle were involved in the crash. When the driver of the SUV drove away, they tried to help the 27-year-old motorcyclist, but he died at the hospital. Shortly after, police found the driver, 29-year-old Morgan Morose, arrested her and charged her with failure to report a crash, aggravated DUI, reckless homicide, and on additional traffic citations. Well, we're under storm watch right now, a tornado watch for part of the listening area. We're going to check in with AccuWeather, see what's on tap for the rest of tonight coming up.
With combat operations in Iran underway, be here for the facts, the context, and the important developments as they happen. Listen every day for continuing coverage. News Radio 105.9 WBBM. When you're hiring,
we're getting a report. I'm looking at a report now down in 109th and Doty at the Walmart, which there's always problems at that Walmart down there. There is Chicago and ATF agents on scene. Crime Chasers is reporting it. ATF agents fired their weapons at a suspect in an attempted robbery while they were conducting an operation. No reports of anybody shot, but federal agents have 3 suspects in custody. So that's what you got going. 109th and Doty. Justin and his team is down there. It kind of reminds me, I started writing this a little. By the way, thanks for tuning in. We're in those times. Remember, I keep talking about, I don't know, maybe I'll get back to this. We're in that time of change right now. Everybody knows we're in a time of change, right? So you got that, right? That's why a lot of things are happening. Old buildings, old businesses. Some of the economy is going down. It's because we're in the time like we were in the 1900s. And it's the easiest thing to think about it this way. When we went from the horse and carriage to the cars, all those people who used to do the horse and carriage jobs, raising horses, building the carriages, the leather work, the wood work, the rubber work, the axle grease, all of that stuff, all those jobs got eliminated. This is the K economy now, the AI K economy. This is explaining what we're in, right? It's a K shape. Look it up. Google AI K economy. This is what's happening. When we went from the horse and buggy to the car, all those people lost their jobs. All of those people lost their jobs. And you're saying, well, what does that have to do with a bank robbery or a Walmart robbery on 109th and Doty? Well, this is what it has to do with it. Remember, what did a lot of us grow up on? Dragnet. What was the other guy? Elliot Ness. Bonnie and Clyde. Who was the other guy? Dillinger, right here on Milwaukee Ave, on the Lincoln Avenue. When was those times? Those were times of the, 20s to 30s, right? Things were changing. Things were chaos. We're coming out of Prohibition. So that's the kind of what the time. Let me see if the news. That's just the weather. So I'm gonna do a little talk. So that's the time we're in. We're in that time. The problem is that we have an AI. We're switching from mechanical to AI. That's the revolution we're now. We're in a digital revolution. Like we were in the Industrial Revolution, going from agrarian, apprentice, small shops, small factories, we went to industrialization. That's where I live. I live by the stockyards and the CMD. That's up in Sinclair, the jungle. That's where all of that came out of, right? Charles Dickens, all those kinds of ideas, right? This big industrialization left a lot of people behind. It did good and bad, right? It built our city, basically, right? That's how Chicago got rich, right? Through the Industrial Revolution. That's where everything you see here on Michigan Avenue came out of that. Even if it came out of the second migration in the 50s, right? When people came up from the South, that was based on the first Industrial Revolution. There's 3 Industrial Revolutions, I have to say. I'm talking a lot now. But here's how it has to do with today's. That's why I'm talking about the Doty. Elliot Ness, FBI, Dragnet. What were they doing? They were going after all the criminals because the criminals controlled the city, right? Capone and all those guys took over the city. Even John Kennedy's dad JFK's dad, he was bootlegging out of the merchandise mart. The guy showed me that. They said they were on the river and they were loading the boats with the bootleg, with the liquor underneath there. You know, the Kennedys owned the merchandise mart at one time. They sold it out to Vernado. So it's a long story to say, look, we're in those same times. We're in those same times of Elliot Ness times, right? So now you hear FBI agents having shootouts in a Walmart. What does that have to do with that? Well, that's what it shows, that the city can't control the crime because it's gotten so out of hand. That they have the county, the state, and now the federal agents doing crime prevention in Chicago. And we had that before. It's nothing new. It's happened. It happened it's going on about 100 years ago, maybe 100, 120 years ago that happened. So we're in that kind of what is it called? Cyclical cycle, right? But we're in like a 100-year cycle now. So that's where we're at. And part of that is, and I'll explain this way. And this is not my ideas. This is stuff I've read in books and stuff like that and people talk about. So I'm not inventing nothing new. This isn't some miraculous idea that I'm having, right? We're changing not only the industrial stuff, right, from mechanical to digital. That's what we're doing now. But we're also changing money. It's a wealth transfer. We're changing money from all the older people to the younger people. It's called wealth transfer. So that's what's happening now, right? There's three parts of it. I forget the third one. There's the what we're doing by work, what we're doing with money, and then I forget the last one. If I remember it, I'll tell you guys. There's three parts of what we're going through. So it's called new money and old money, new money and old money. And what happened in those days, in the hundreds, right, 100 years ago, that we had all the wars. That was the Rothschilds, that was the Carnegies, the Fords, and all of these people, right? They made their money from the people before them, the kings, right? The kings and the, quote, colonizers and all those people that made the money, right? From maybe about, I don't know, the timeline switches a little bit in those times because it was a little older. Now time goes faster. Money goes faster. Industry is faster now than it went in those old days because we didn't have that much communication. You can track it to the Gutenberg press. That's basically from that time till about, they say till about maybe the 20s, maybe the 10s or the 20s. That's when it completely switched. The Gutenberg press, right? Everybody knows that was. That's how they started printing books. The first book, I think, was a Bible. And that's how they started transferring knowledge, right? That's what we're doing now with the digital revolution, right? We're transferring knowledge, right? You're doing transfer of knowledge and transfer of how you build stuff. So you do two things, right? It's communication. And then once you do that, you transfer wealth. That's why we see all the fighting, right? Why we see all the death, right? That's why we see the changes. Because that's what's happening. Things are changing. Some people are losing and some people are winning. And that's what the K economy looks like. The AI K economy, look it up, Google it. We wrote a few articles about it. So that's why you see all these problems, right? Some people have money, some people don't have money. The YNs, the young guys, the young rappers as they call them, they want to make their claims. Al Capone was like that. He was a young guy. He made his claim and he went after it. Same thing. Then you have politicians. Then you have businesses. Right here you have the Tribune Tower is there and the Wrigley Tower is there. Those are the two industries that built Chicago. The Tribune was built by what? McCormick, Cyrus McCormick. He built the Reaper that industrialized farming. Wrigley industrialized what? Helped industrialize food and confections, right? There was a confectioner, Wrigley Gum. That's where I used to work for that company, Wrigley. I worked at the gum factory. They industrialized manufacturing, one, and the other one industrialized what? Farming. And what? Those are two together things. So one guy knew how to harvest more, faster, and more efficient. The other guy knew how to industrialize, manufacture things that you can eat and live off of. Wrigley was confectioner, it's gum. You didn't live off of that. But then What else is down where I live? Back of the yards is what? The stockyards, right? They industrialized processing meat, cattle, pork, chicken. So that's where we're at now. Now we're in the same idea. And I'll leave you with this. What did we have back then? We had a lot of wars. They say that the Industrial Revolution technically started before the Civil War. That it was a continuation all the way up until the end of what? The Second World War. That's how long that took to switch the industries, to switch the wealth. Right? So it took almost 100 years. We might be in that cycle. And in the middle of that cycle, what do we have? The Spanish flu epidemic. And that's where I live also, where McKinley Park Fieldhouse was built because we had the Spanish flu, we had tuberculosis, we had all these diseases. There's up by the Bohemian National Cemetery. If you go up by Peterson, that used to be the TB sanitarium. It's huge. So we had disease outbreaks, we had wars, we had criminals, we had FBIs, we had Elliot Nesses, all of that. Why? Because money was switching from one set of people to the other set of people. Now, the only thing is now, that's the question is, who is the new people that are getting the money? One is Elon Musk. The other one is Jeff Bezos, but there's a whole bunch of other people. So that's a lot of talking on the topic of why these ATF guys are shooting people down in the Walmart on 109th and Doty. That's why that's happening, because we're in a spot where there's a lot of crime. Why? There will be more crime because there's less things to steal now. That's the problem. So there's more competition for a less source. We're getting scarce, right? Because our population is getting older. So as the population gets older, there's a less pool of workers. There's a less pool of money being made. That's a lot of talking for about, 10 or 20 years of me reading books and TVs. And you know what? We're going to go this way. We're going to go see the predatory tow trucks. How about that? So that's a lot. That's a big talk for what's going on down in Doty. You know what? And that's just my view of what I've read and what I think I know and what maybe I think is going on. Some of it's in books. Some of it's in movies. You can Google it. You know, that third part I got to remember, though. There's the what we make, the money, and maybe it's just a generational shift, right? It's money, what we make, and then the age, right? That we're shifting the power, right? The power structure, right? From the old to new. And here's the bigger problem. We're living older. Like Trump is 80, Biden was 80. In the old days, you didn't live to be 80 and be president, right? I think presidents might have been only 60 back then, maybe. Right? So you think about it. People are holding it to power 20 years longer. So it makes more of a conflict with younger people, right? Blah, 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 blah. So, alrighty. Let's see if they're doing any predatory towing. Let's listen to some news. Let's listen to some radio calls. That's a lot of talk about what's happening down on Doty where there's ATF agents shooting at people, right? We'll figure out what that is. Like I said, crime chasers on that case. They got some videos out there, right? Let's see if I can, you know what? We're going to go this way. Traffic is kind of jammed up today, which is good. It's good to see good traffic. But as I always say, make sure you look at the other side, right? This is jammed up here, but that's not jammed up there. So, but there's a little more people here. Maybe it's because of the rain. I don't know. Remember, this is where the lady got raped Monday, right? So we're going through a really bad week in Chicago. We're really in a bad space right now in our city. And I think that's why that ATF, I'm going to repeat this case again. The ATF agents are firing and shooting down on the 109th and Doty. And that's why we're in that space, right? We're in that space because we have that last part where I said that generational shift, right, of new people, old people, because Brandon Johnson's what, in his 40s, 45? He's a young guy. He doesn't know too much. He's from Elgin. He's kind of a, I don't know. He's not really a carpetbagger. Kind of, but not really. He's technically a carpetbagger, technically, but not really. I don't know what you call him. What the real, I mean, I have some terms I use for him, but he's part of that, right? He's part of that generation that's coming in and trying to take for themselves and for their ideas. That's kind of where I'm going to that. That's that third part of that switching, right? We're going to listen to the news a little bit, see what's going on in the news. How about that? 'Cause that's a lot of talk in there. Blah, blah, blah. Let's keep moving here. I wanted to make a U-turn here and try to get up on Randolph and see if they're doing any of that predatory towing, and maybe I can just put on my radio here, and then we'll listen to the radio calls, right?
Frequency mode.
So that's a lot of stuff going on, and all of that is documented. It's in political science books. It's in economics books. It's in history books. There's different parts of it. There's not too many guys that have put it all together. There's a couple. I read these books about, the main books I read about 10 years ago.
Good event number, flight 46 blue line, Belmont.
Yep, it is 08608. Philly 383 Eddie. 83. Get a station check, 47th red line. Yep, that is 08610.
We're going to go up here. We're going to see what they're doing up here on Randolph, right? That's what we're all experiencing, right? Landlords are getting old and dying. Grandma's houses were taken away in the 2008 predatory loans, right? That's what we're witnessing. 4:30 News. This is what's going on.
Chicago office opens fire on a south side of robbery suspect.
This is Sarah Coira. Cleanup responsibility is shifting after a major Chicago area waterway spill.
And Pam Bondi is out as President Trump's Attorney General. Sports, an off day for both baseball teams. The Blackhawks skate against the Oilers in Edmonton.
I'm Matt Piper at Bloomberg. Ahead of a holiday weekend, stocks closed a bit higher than where they were sitting for most of the day. The Dow lost 61, NASDAQ gained 38 points, S&P up 7.
Cloudy skies, light rain at 4:31. The news continues now. Governor Pritzker urging Congress to authorize year-round E15 gas sales. WBBM's Haley Hansen spoke to one Illinois farmer who says it's a long time coming.
The governor claims expanding sales of E15 gas would provide long-term market certainty to farmers across the state. LaSalle County farmer David Iserman agrees.
It gives us a kind of a stable demand where we're not dependent on what we can export, what the tariffs are.
E15 is made with 15% ethanol, most commonly produced from one of Illinois' top agricultural exports, corn.
We raise more corn in the United States than we use, so being able to use that crop is very important, and we're kind of at the mercy of whether you're selling to China or selling to, another country.
The push comes after the EPA approved a temporary waiver for the nationwide sale of E15. Haley Hansen, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Agent from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives opened fire at a robbery suspect on the far south side this morning.
An ATF spokesman says the agent opened fire during an ATF operation on the 10900 block of South Doty. There's a Walmart right at that spot. It's not clear exactly what time this all happened. The agent discharged their gun at a suspect during an attempted robbery. ATF says no law enforcement personnel or suspects were injured. The 3 suspects were taken into custody. Charges were pending. Terry Keschner, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
A major cleanup in a southwest suburb moving forward after after a large asphalt spill contaminated a Chicago area waterway.
It's been more than a year after an industrial spill sent thousands of barrels of liquid asphalt into the Chicago Sanitarian Ship Canal in Forest View. Materials spread through parts of the waterway and along the shoreline, triggering wildlife rescues and a long-term federal cleanup effort. Now, Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul says a court order has approved an agreed injunction requiring the company owned by Apex Oil to finish cleanup under Illinois EPA supervision. The state says it'll continue where the U.S. EPA left off, and it still wants penalties and cost recovery. Sarah Royer, News Radio 105.9 WBM.
4:33 around the nation today. President Trump ousts Pam Bondi as his attorney general.
On social media, the president confirmed Pam Bondi will be replaced by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who will serve as acting attorney general. Trump also praised Bondi, calling her, quote, a great American patriot, and said she will be moving to what he called an important new job in the private sector. The president previously expressed frustration over the lack of successful prosecutions of his perceived political enemies under Bondi. The first Trump cabinet member to be fired was Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who was moved to a new job within the administration. Lynn McKinnon, CBS News, the White House.
The president's White House ballroom is expected to win approval from a key agency.
Just days after a federal judge ordered that construction of President Donald Trump's massive White House ballroom come to a halt, the National Capital Planning Commission is expected Thursday to approve the project. The commission, which approves or denies construction on federal property in the Washington region, is going ahead with the vote because a commission spokesperson says Tuesday's order by U.S. District Judge Richard Leon to halt construction does not affect the planning process. The commission will also consider some changes to the 90,000 square foot ballroom addition. The ballroom is now estimated to cost $400 million. Donna Warder, Washington.
Investigators have released body cam footage of the moment that Tiger Woods was arrested for driving under the influence.
Tiger Woods expressed astonishment as he was handcuffed after crashing his vehicle last week in Florida. Body cam video released by the Martin County Sheriff's Office shows a deputy informing Woods that he is being arrested.
So at this time, I do believe your normal faculties are here.
You don't see anybody up here, right? It's rush hour traffic. It's empty.
The video also shows that the officers found pills in Tiger Woods' pocket. In the footage, Woods says that he had not had any alcohol, and that he had taken a few medications earlier in the day. Authorities later confirmed that Woods was in possession of hydrocodone, which is used to treat for pain. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Arizona attorney in trouble after she cited fake AI-generated cases in her court filing.
Cherie Wright is representing a former Phoenix Suns employee who accuses the team of sexual harassment. The judge in the case spotted at least 18 fake cases and quotes in Wright's filings. Wright blames her staffer for using AI to file the briefs. Sean Harrington at Arizona State University's AI and Legal Tech Studio says so-called AI hallucination is a growing problem in the legal industry.
Depending on what judge you're going in front of, this can have very severe penalties.
Wright has to pay some attorney's fees and take AI ethics training. Michael Wallace, CBS.
At U.S. Waterproofing, when we're called to fix a basement water
So
pump,
two things to notice here. It's 4:36 p.m. There's no traffic, right? I've been sitting here now. You don't see any movement. See all the way up in front of us? There's no movement there. We were bottlenecked on Michigan Avenue. Remember, I was wiggling around in traffic. So now we're coming up here. We're by Stetson up here. There's no traffic, so there's no movement. So that shows you what? That there's people being funneled through a place. One place, and that's it. I learned that in LA about 10 years ago. Google controls where people drive. But the more thing that I wanted to videotape up here is what I want to show you this. So we're up here. There's no people here, right? There's no people here. It's 4:36 p.m., right? This is what I wanted to videotape here, though, right? There's no people here. But what I wanted to videotape is this. We're in the middle of one of the more expensive areas here, right? Developing. Look at this huge potholes over here. See those big potholes there? Those are huge. See that there? They're big. Why aren't these things being fixed? And they're not just one or two. Right, you see them in the ground there. I'll zoom in for you guys. They're not just one or two. There's a lot of them. It's not one or two potholes. It isn't, oh, that thing broke because of the plow or whatever. There's a whole bunch of them. You see that there? Look at that. See that down there? There's a whole bunch of them. It's like all the roads are messed up or something. I don't get it. It's like the roads were made wrong. And then what was I talking about the other day? The rocks. Look at this over here. See the rocks over there? Let me show you this on this. What I'm talking about here, right? And what I'm, sorry about that. I didn't mean to hit. I hit the wrong button here. The rocks right there. Remember we talked about that the other day on Canal Street? So here we are in downtown, and you got rocks right there. You got rocks, right? You got rocks in downtown. You can use those rocks to break into cars. That's the problem with that, right? You just seen the curb, right? It's all messed up. Rocks, right? There you go. Let's put this back up here somehow. I'm going to have to stop here and do this like this. How about I do it like that? So you've seen that, right? There's two things going on. Or three things. The three things that I just showed, right? There's no traffic up here. There's no traffic up here. There's huge potholes in a place there shouldn't be potholes. And the last thing is the curbs are broken and have rocks in there, right? It's weird. It's like nothing, I don't know what to say. It's like nothing is like it should. Maybe I just notice it because I notice those things. But I don't think those curbs should be like that. I don't think there should be boulders where people can grab them and hurt you. Why aren't they cleaned up? Look at all that. Did you see that whole street all messed up there? Did you see the street there? So we talked about this whole generational shift, right? No traffic, huge potholes, and bricks and boulders all over. And this is by a very expensive area, by Stetson. About 4:35 p.m., April 2nd, 2026. What does that have to do with what I just talked? I spent the first half hour talking about. What does that have to do with it? I don't know. That's the part I don't know. You kind of get it? Why is it that we're seeing this? I get the crime. The crime is anarcho-tyranny. That's how they control you, right? They let crime happen. They scare you. You don't go out. They give you a ticket. You pay your ticket. You keep your job because you don't want to be homeless. You don't want to be in jail. You don't want to be like those guys. So they use the crime and criminals to keep people in check. That's anarcho-tyranny. That's what we see. We're living that every day. That's a control mechanism. That's not everything. But why are we seeing bad infrastructure? Is it old? But what I say the other day when I was at Canal Street, I said, what? We're paying taxes every day. They have money. They haven't reduced the workforce, right? There's still the same amount of teachers, Department of Transportation, streets and sanitations, state workers, DCFS. There's all of those agencies still have the same amount of employees. So why aren't we having the service? And if we have less people in Chicago, why isn't it better for us, right? Think about it. I get that's twofold bad. If we have less people, that's less taxes, but they're charging more people more taxes, right? They're charging more people more taxes. So they haven't reduced the tax burden. They switched it, they say, to us. But they're getting the same amount of money or more money. If you look at the budgets, they've always risen. And they've never cut the employees. So why does our streets and our city and our infrastructure look this bad? That's the last question I've never got answered. And yeah, we can talk about corruption and this and that, but really, why would that happen, right? Why is it that we have the same amount of people working and the same amount of money we're spending, but yet we have less services, less cop services, less this service, less that service? And there's a lot of things that are now privatized, right? Now we're paying for it. Like garbage pickup now in Chicago, we're paying for, I think, and we didn't pay for that in the old days. So there's a lot of talking there because I don't know that answer. I don't know that part of what I see, right? Maybe you guys know, I don't know.
Our reporters traffic.
Anybody have any ideas? Why do we see the things that we see besides corruption?
Day and night at about 37 minutes past the hour. Chicago's news, traffic, weather, and lowest gas prices station.
Frequency mode. There's accident at just north of 31st Street. There's an officer injured in this accident. An ambulance.
Where are you at? On the Dan Ryan?
What?
Alright, are you involved or what officer are we talking about here?
It's another officer.
Okay, 10-4. You do have fire en route. Ambulance 4 is en route. ISP and IDOT have been notified.
Let's go. 31st and Dan Ryan. Officer injured.
The trooper is on scene here.
Okay, 10-4. Is the injured officer CPD or a different agency?
CPD, he's got some head injuries here.
Alright, 10-4. I'll get you a supervisor out there as well. 10-4. Are you local or express? Local. Local. 10-4.
Officer injured. 31st and Dan Ryan. What did they say? Northbound or southbound? Oh, I didn't get. Let me try to get that call there. Officer, that's fresh. That just came in just then.
83, where was that at? Inbound of the Dan Ryan, 31st in the locals.
There we go. Officer injured in accident inbound Dan Ryan locals, 31st Street.
Citywide battery in progress, 6253 South Michigan, 6253 South Michigan. In the parking lot, there's a couple fighting. Male black, red jogging suit, female black, black clothes.
Officer injured.
Three Charlie, good.
Yeah, we're back at the kind of red light. Trigger on that number.
Yep, 08808. Marine Unit Headquarters.
Headquarters.
Hey, 20th District requesting some assistance off of about 4800 North. They have a sailboat approximately 200 to 500 feet out. The boat has now turned over and the male is in the water and it does appear to be struggling.
10-4.
4800 North Lakeshore Drive, right?
735. Can I go up Howard on the rail line, please? Yep, that is 088.
Marine distress about 4800 North Lakeshore Drive. A sailboat has flipped over.
7386 Adam. 86 Adam. I think I gotta check a roller boat on the top and bottom, please.
How come they go out into bad weather? That's the last kind of bad weather we seen a ski boat.
In 7384 Charlie, I did request a supervisor for 9th District to start heading that way, okay?
Remember that? The last time was the bad weather. I need to fix that holder there. I don't know why I always have trouble with these holders. I don't change nothing from yesterday. Strange. Somebody came into my car last night and messed with my holder. So marine distress and accident with an officer. That's where we're going to the officer here. Right? All right, let me fix this.
8401. Westbound 79 from Halsted. Alright, that is 08830.
I can't undo it. I don't know why it's like it jams on me. I don't know why it does that. There. And I gotta tighten this out. I have two bolts that I have to tighten here. Let's see if that works. All right, so we're going to officer injured over here on the Dan Ryan. And then there's supposed to be a sailboat that flipped over, but it's a storm. Why are you out in the storms? Why are you out in the storm? See, I don't want to say nothing. That guy should get a ticket. Why are you sailing in the bad weather?
I got a 5 Frank, and can I get the last 5 of the event?
That's crazy.
Yeah, 08731. 08731.
It just keeps going down. I don't know why. It's strange, really strange that my holder keeps getting jacked up there. Whatever. No, I got it's.
794 Charlie, 930 is en route to the scene.
Let's see how that works. Alright, there we go. Oh, it's not. It's like the rubber pieces come off here. See how that works. See how long that lasts. The rubber silicone holders are wearing out. Maybe that's what the problem is with that thing. There you go. So it goes quick when you do this stuff. You don't know where things are going to happen, what's going to go down, right? So I guess crime chasing, that's kind of what I learned doing this stuff. I mean, I used to do off-roading, and I did that like that. I can't listen to the music.
5784 Adam.
5784 Adam.
Squad, a passerby has informed me that there's a broken down car on the Dan Ryan, northbound in the express lane between 35th and 33rd Street. I'm too far away, but can you please let the state police know? I know they got other stuff going on, but I guess it stopped in the middle of the express lane.
Alright, Denver, did they have a description of the vehicle?
The cops coming up north. See the blue lights there? Or they went to downtown. They went towards Michigan Avenue. We're in the South Loop now, by the way. Over by the Roosevelt Red Line. Something going on east of here. So hopefully this officer ain't doing too bad, right? Remember, it's the first of the month. There you go. You got a guy nodding out right there. See that there? He's nodding out. That guy's nodding out. See him nodding out? Dude's nodding out. White dude. See that dude there? He's nodding out. See that? Remember, this is the dope spot over here. Roosevelt Red Line. Not now. What's up, Tyrone? What do you know, my brother?
Give the 6 City Lab Battery in progress, 8310 South Maryland. Call us being beat up. Details to follow. Zoning.
I heard there was 2, and I tried to put up. I seen the article this morning, but I didn't get to it. I heard there was 2 yesterday, and if this is another one today, then I have to keep track of that. Here's the thing. I want to do a study, but I can't figure out how to do it. I have a feeling that a lot of these traffic accidents have to do with the migrants and unregulated license distribution. I believe that. It's just a theory. It's just a theory. We'd have to get the statistic to show yes or no. And there's so many accidents now, especially these flipped over cars like I seen yesterday. It's too many of them. And I think it's related to the migrants that were given licenses. And yeah, I heard there was 2 pedestrians struck yesterday in Chicago, I think fatally, and I didn't hear this one in the suburbs. So it's a lot of bad stuff happening. And here, whether it's a migrant or not, I could care less. It's important. If it's a migrant, then he should never have been here. That's the problem with that one. But for me, I want to know what's the problem so we can fix it. See, and we're not getting to that problem. That's why we got into the whole argument yesterday with the picture of a gangbanger smoking weed with a pistol at 18. Well, here, look. You know what's wrong with that picture? It shows a criminal. It shows a criminal, okay? An 18-year-old with a pistol smoking weed is a criminal. That's a criminal. You're like, no, he isn't. He's an innocent guy, man. He's got graduation pictures. No, he's not. He's a criminal. One, you can't buy a pistol in any state in the United States if you're under 21. You cannot. Maybe your dad or mom gives you pistols. Maybe they do it. You have a pistol around the house and you take a picture with it. I get that. Maybe that wasn't his pistol. Second part of the bad thing in that picture is this. He was smoking weed with the pistol. Firearms is clear. Licensing. If you ever bought a pistol or a gun, then what is it? What's the one check mark it shows on there? What's the one check mark on the back? That's the NCIS something in the back. You know what I'm talking about, the check marks. Are you a legal citizen? Are you in a warrant? You know the check mark in the back. When you buy a gun, in the back, that's how they got Hunter Biden, right? You know Hunter Biden got convicted for lying on that form. You know which form I'm talking about. When you buy a pistol, there's those check marks in the back. I'm talking about yesterday's picture of the guy who got murdered. Tyree, the 18-year-old. And people were arguing to me and yelling that my picture was derogatory, defamatory of him, right? Like, no, that's his picture that he posted on his own page, right? That's not my picture. Oh, you should put up his graduation picture when he was 8 years old. I'm like, whatever, bro. But here's the point. He's smoking weed with a pistol. First of all, he can't own a pistol. Whatever. He got it somewhere or whatever, and he's fooling around with it at home. Secondly, you're not supposed to have weed or drugs with guns. The check mark in the back of when you buy a pistol says that. Are you addicted to any medications or any drugs? Reason that's important is Hunter Biden was convicted of that. He was a crackhead. He was on video with crack, buying guns. When he bought the gun, he was on crack. And he checkmarked that checkmark that he wasn't on drugs when there's videos of him with Russian hookers doing crack. Everybody's seen those videos, right? There's a couple of Hunter Biden issues. There's the crack and the hookers, and there's the laptop. And the laptop is the one that had all the crack and the hooker pictures on it. That's two issues there, right? That's the Hunter Biden case. And then the Burisma, right? And then he was hooked up with stuff in Ukraine, right? That's Zelensky and before, right? There's a whole story over there. But we're not getting to that. But what I'm talking about is yesterday's picture, right? Where there's a guy who got murdered on, 67 and Wentworth. He has a picture on Instagram. He's one of the drill scene guys, right? They do guns, drugs, chicks, drugs. It's just like the old rock and roll guys from the 70s and 60s. It's like the old beatnik guys from the 30s and the 20s. It's no difference, right? It's the generation expressing themselves, right? It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Except it's sex, drugs, and drill music now, right? And choppers, right? The pistols. So that's what it is. He has a picture of him doing criminal activity. He's smoking weed with a pistol in his hand. At 18 years old. So it's a criminal picture, basically. He's showing himself as a criminal. And like I was saying earlier about the 30s, remember the 20s and the 30s? The criminals didn't care. You see, we're in that kind of a time frame. Think about those times. The gangsters, the machine guns. We had machine guns. I had an old article I can't find now. The first machine gun case came out of where I live, around the McKinley Park area. And you know what they were? Irish. It was an Irish gang. They made the law against machine guns because an Irish gang started using machine guns to kill more people. It was Irish white people. I don't know. Irish white, I don't know. They're not Anglo, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So they made the machine gun law, NFA. I think that's what it is, right? Is that what it is? It's not the ATF. It's the agency that regulates guns, where you get your stamp, the tax stamps. They made that specific machine gun law because of an Irish gang on the south side of Chicago, because they were started using the machine guns. There was the Tommy guns to kill more people. And that was something like a 4 or 5 person shot. This is before Valentine's Massacre. This is not Al Capone people. Al Capone made it famous, but these were Irish guys using these guns. And I don't know, there was some shootout think they killed a couple of cops. That's what it was. It was ended up with a shootout with a couple of cops. This Irish gang had a shootout. I don't know if it was a bank robber or what it was. They killed a few agents or cops, and then they made this machine gun law. I got to look up that article. Some guy sent it to me about 3 years ago, and I can't find it. I can't find it for the life of me. So I did a lot of talking there to kind of put it all together, that everything, again, that we see is not new, right? It's not new that we see a young 18-year-old smoking weed with a gun. They did that in the old days, right? They did that. It's not a judgment call. Saying someone's a criminal isn't saying good or bad. I don't know why people get that into their mind. Everybody's so judgmental when you say factual stuff. And you can be judgmental and biased, but smoking weed with a pistol is criminal activity, right? One, weed is illegal. In the United States, it still is. Trump is trying to delegalize it. I think I just seen some 2 weeks ago. But it is. So it's not a judgment call, good or bad. Someone asked me today on one of my posts, was that guy good or bad, that 18-year-old? I said, I don't know. He was a gang member. No, he wasn't. He was a rapper. Oh, okay. Gang member. Right? When you say facts, it's a fact. Now you can say, is that fact good or bad to you, right? That's up to you, not to me. We're going to go to this police call. So that's the whole talk about yesterday's picture, right? And the biggest thing that got me yesterday, because you know what's weird? I'm advocating for the victim at the shooting scene, and then I get attacked on the internet when I post a picture. It's a weird thing. So if everybody's seen my live video yesterday, I told the cops, there was about 10 or 15 white detectives there laughing. Remember that? They had their hands in their pockets yesterday. And I said, what are you doing? Why are you laughing? What are you doing? Find the killer. And they were laughing. Remember that on live video? So it's kind of weird how people pick and choose what to be, outraged about. There's a word about that. I don't know. There's all kinds of fancy words for all kinds of fancy stuff, right? We're going over here to this accident here with a police officer. So we're going to see where we might step out of the truck. We'll see. Let's listen to the news and see what's going on. 5 o'clock news. And we're coming up on the highway, right? It's supposed to be
I'm Jennifer.
cop
President Trump fires Attorney General Pam Bondi and replaces her temporarily with Deputy AG Todd Blanche. CBS's Natalie Brandt reports.
During Bondi's time leading DOJ, the department did pursue criminal investigations into President Trump's perceived adversaries, including former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Both cases were dismissed. She's also faced heat over the release of DOJ files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Bondi says over the next month she'll work to transition the office to Todd Blanche before moving to a private sector role about which she's thrilled.
And Allison Keyes, Senate Minority Leader Chuck
it's a
Schumer
bad
says
one.
good riddance. Pam Bondi was the wrong choice from the start.
It's a bad one.
Judiciary Committee Chair Chuck Grassley thanks
It's a really bad one, guys.
and says she helped bring violent crime down to historic lows. And safety and transparency ought to remain.
It's really bad. I hope the guy's okay.
CBS News is
Really bad. Look at that.
XF has asked the Army Chief of Staff.
It's really bad.
More from CBS's Cammie McCormick. A senior Defense Department official told CBS News it was time for a leadership change in the Army. General Randy George, a career infantry officer, was nominated for the position by former President
police officer hurt in a car
by the
accident.
Senate. The current Vice Chief of Staff is expected to replace him. He is a former military aide to Hegseth. Hegseth has fired over a dozen senior military officers. Artemis II Flight Director Jeff Radigan on the next big step for the crew that's on a moon mission.
SubX.News on the spot reporting. Police officer hurt. Oh, I don't see no car accident. Oh, there's in the ambulance already over there. Somebody in the ambulance there. See that? Ambulance 4.
President Trump gets some good news about his construction of the White House.
It's a big accident over here on the highway. Why is this guy following me, man? there's all kinds. There's detectives or somebody walking on. Why is this guy in back of me, man? I don't know. He's in back of me. I got my flashes on. There's a guy in back of me. Weird guy. There you go, right? So ambulance 4 over here, right? I don't know. I got my flashes on. So there you go. SubX.News, right? On the spot reporting. Report of an officer hurt here. There's somebody in that. Report of an officer hurt here. SubX.News, police officers hurt in an accident, going in ambulance for their inbound Dan Ryan at 31st Street. They just cleared it up here. But somebody went into ambulance number 4, police officer. It's cleared up. I don't know if it was an accident or a medical emergency, because I didn't see no cars or anything being towed away. So if we find out anything else, we'll tell you. SubX.News on the spot reporting. 31st Street inbound Dan Ryan. Medical emergency or something happened with a police officer. All right. So where are we going to go? To that water rescue next? It was weird. I had people in back of me, and I had my flashes on, and there's plenty of room to go around me. Right, to go around me, but people weren't going around me. It's really strange. So we gotta figure out where we're gonna go next, eh?
The 3 others still face charges. Terry Teschner, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
In a renewed debate over high property taxes, Illinois Republicans are blaming the Democrats in the supermajority in Springfield. After a report showing skyrocketing property tax rates in Cook County over the last 30 years,
accident or medical emergency around
School District. State Representative Dan Gassett from Geneva said in a press conference by the Illinois House GOP, the Bear Stadium proposal shows the legislature can take on the issue when it wants to.
If we can fix property taxes for a stadium, we can fix it for every other taxpayer in Illinois, too.
He and House Republican leader Tony McCombie accused Democrats of not giving consideration to property tax proposals while chronically underfunding schools and giving districts mandates without financial support. Nancy Hardy, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
New proposed rule could give tenants in federal housing facing quicker eviction.
The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is considering a change for renters in HUD-assisted housing who fall behind on rent. Right now, tenants generally have 30 days to catch up before eviction can move forward. Illinois Council on Developmental Disability says that federal protection could be removed. Eviction timelines instead set by state and local laws. Advocates say that can make it harder for some families and people with disabilities to avoid losing their housing. The public comment period on regulations.gov runs through April 27th. Sarah
ATF agent opened fire at a robbery suspect in the Pullman neighborhood. An agent from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives fired at a robbery suspect during an operation in the 100 and 900 block of South Doty. No law enforcement officers or the suspects were injured, but 3 suspects are in custody. A Chicago man now facing several felony charges related to the theft of Pokemon trading cards.
The 5 felony counts are for armed robbery. 23-year-old Anthony Garcia, taken into custody on Tuesday, and now accused of drawing his victims in by responding to online marketplace ads in which the sellers were offering up highly coveted Pokemon trading cards. Since mid-March, according to police, Garcia invited at least 5 sellers to meet somewhere in Gage Park. Once inside a building lobby, he then displayed a gun and demanded the seller hand over the cards. Brandon Eisen, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
5:08. Time for traffic and weather together.
Pokemon robberies, man. I seen that case this morning. Oh, it looks like he might be an Asian guy, Asian American guy. I don't know. That's a wild case, robbing people for Pokemon, but I guess they're expensive. Jake Paul's Pokemon went for a bunch of millions of dollars, so I guess they're expensive. See, that's what I'm talking. Do you know what I'm talking about? This wealth transfer here? We had baseball cards, whatever, when we grew up, but they were 25 cents. Maybe the good ones were a couple of bucks. Not $1 million. You kind of get what I'm saying here? The wealth transfer, Bitcoin and all that, it's transferring all this wealth and it's changing. We got a guy robbing people for Pokemon cards. I'm like, that guy must be messed up. You know what I mean? It's kind of wild that the times that we're in and what's happening in front of us, right? But we've always had robberies. We've always had cars being stolen or horses being stolen, horse thieves, right? Train robberies. Like I just told you the thing, I have to dig up the actual history of the making the machine gun law because of Irish gangs in Chicago. And I'm pretty sure it was a shootout with a cop. It might not have been. I don't know. Don't hold me on that. So it's like history repeats itself. You know what I mean? And I think this is where I want to get to that. I don't know the reason why we see some of the things we see. I don't know why. But I know this thing for sure. And I say a lot of things about Brandon Johnson and them guys in power today. And I coined a term, loyal to the lie. They're loyal to the lie. And they have all these people who are loyal to that lie, right? It's like the gangbanger smoking weed with a pistol at 18. He's a gangbanger that's smoking weed with a pistol. Yeah, that's what he is. Good or bad, you can take that good. That's on you to judge that. That's your judgment. Is that good or bad? Some guys say, ooh, that's cool. Some guys say, I don't care. Doesn't bother me. Some people say, internal damnation Jesus, right? Stuff, right? Or whatever. Or some people say other things, right? That's a personal judgment. But to say a fact and then somehow to lie about that fact, that's loyal to the lie, right? So why is that happening, right? Why do we have people that will lie about stuff that we see in front of us? Look, I've been doing this now, just this route, right? For about 3 years. It's going to be going on my 4th year now, right? This will be the end of my 3rd year in July that I've been doing this on a daily basis through downtown. And I've been showing crime. I started with the migrants. Then I expanded to traffic, to other neighborhoods. Then I expanded to crime chasing, right? I was just doing migrant stuff. I wasn't doing crime chasing. When I started this latest stuff, I'd done crime chasing before. But this latest crime chasing stuff I've been doing for about 2.5, 3 years now, it's happened after the migrants. So as I was seeing the migrants at the police stations and I started hearing radio calls and reading on CWB, I watched SubX.News and they were like, migrants are fighting, migrants are doing this. I said, well, and then I started figuring out where these radio calls were coming from. I was a ham radio operator, so I knew I could get on the frequency without a scanner. Everybody knows scanners are illegal in Chicago, right? I don't have a scanner. I have a ham radio. That's what I have. So I started saying, okay, let me listen to these calls and what's going on at these police stations or at these shelters, right? They were fighting at the Standard Club. They were fighting over at the Elston shelter, the salt shed, right? There was crimes happening. prostitution, drug dealing, stabbings happening on Lake Street. If you look up a lot of those early calls, there was a lot of stabbings on Lake Street by the migrant shelter by Lake Street. So then I got into crime chasing. So, okay, so I'll watch the migrants, and I'll do some crime chasing. Maybe I do something, I'll see what's going on. Then I started saying, oh, here's a call of a murder. Here's a call of a shooting. Here's this. And I went there. And then I started realizing this. When I started doing this crime chasing a call, right? I've done crime before where I listened to a call, I reported. I've been doing that for 20 years now. I've been watching crime and listening to crime for at least 20 years. I have my first article was in the Sun Times. Actually, it's an anniversary 20 years ago. March 12th, 2006. Look up Violence Spikes, Chicago Public Schools, and Google Kugler and Zimba. All right? You'll read the article. I'm going to put it up soon, right? I forgot to do it. I got so much stuff to do. That was my first major article on crime in Chicago Public Schools as it was related to school closings and related to young people. Look it up. I did an extensive work with Rosalind Rossi. That's the reporter I work with. She was over at the Sun Times. She's now working at the Inspector General's office, the CPS Inspector General's office. So I say this all for this. The reason that we need to do this together and why it takes a lot of people is because we need facts. We need videos. We need statements. We need information so that we can make decisions for ourselves, for our family, and for our community. It's like the shooting, the Delmo homicide that happened in Washington. I had a bunch of people send me stuff. As soon as it happened, and then we wrote the article, I said, oh, you're writing bad stuff. You're right. But first of all, I write what's on the internet. I don't come up with any facts. I don't do that. I learned that a long time ago. If it's on somewhere, then I'll put it and sometimes say report it as this. But when it comes out from the police department, I figure the police department has the facts. They're not always right. They're not always right. We talked about that, about the Michigan Avenue shooting. They left out some information. It's the same time the double homicide. Now I have multiple people now say that was a domestic issue. The shooter shot his sister. That was his sister. And the guy that got killed was her ex. No, it wasn't her ex. It was another person's ex. And she was hiding out. I don't know. It was cousins or something like that. I still don't know the whole story straight. But so a double homicide is still a double homicide. A homicide is when somebody gets killed. Doesn't mean good or bad. See, that's another thing. Homicide doesn't mean good or bad. It's just a homicide. It means someone was killed. So then, now we're finding out what? That she was friendly fire. The guy broke in with a knife. The guy in the house where she was at had a gun. They started fighting. He shot him. Somehow she got in the middle of the two and she got shot. That's the story we have so far. We don't know what it's going to be until it goes to court or if he's charged, right? So we don't know that yet. And it was a good thing that someone said this the other day on one of my posts. They said, well, that's his story. Again, that's not good or bad. See, people try to put good or bad judgment, bias, and everything. I'm biased. I say my biases. But what I just told you has no good or bad intentions right there. It has none. It has none. It has none. But people take it as that. And I don't know why they do that, right? Because I believe what I said, loyal to the lie. People are getting money, or people are in a position, or people are privileged, or whatever it may be. I don't know what it is. And they believe they need to perpetuate one position or another. Right? One position or another, one side or another. And now our society is divided left and right, red and blue, whatever you call it. But in the end, most people are in the middle, right? Most people just want to go to work, pay their bills. Don't want to get in trouble. We're going over here to the shelter. We're going to see what they're doing over to drug dealers, right? The migrant drug dealers, right? And then people are loyal to the lie. They say, oh, you're so nasty and mean to the migrants or immigrants. Well, first of all, I'm an immigrant myself. So my wife's an immigrant. And like, Oh, you're a racist. I don't know how you can be racist. They're immigrants. What do you mean race, right? Immigrants isn't a race. See, do you see the loyal to the lie that I'm trying to say here? Immigrants isn't a race. You can't be racist to immigrants. You can be xenophobic for certain immigrants, and there's a lot of articles written about it. You know when they wrote about them? In the 1900s. I read those books. There's a whole volume of that. When all the Eastern European people came in, there was a lot of discrimination against them. There's a lot of discrimination against Irish people, Roman Catholics. Yes, there was a lot of them. And there's whole volumes of books. I think I'll post a link to it. I mean, there's just too much. It's like, I think it's about 20 to 30,000 pages. I didn't read them all. I read some of them. It was congressional hearings. On immigration and something else. I forget. It was a long title. I was at the University of Chicago. I read, I don't know, 2-3 of the volumes. And I stopped because they started repeating the same stuff, except that they were like talking about different immigrant groups. So again, loyal to the lie, right? Immigrant drug dealer. You're a racist. How am I racist? Did I say a race when I said that? Venezuelan drug dealer. You're a racist. No, Venezuelan is not a race, it's a nationality. You see the lie? But who says that? Look on the TV. Look at those lawyers that were in front of the Daily Center yesterday. Oh, it's racism. You're wasting time because we're blocking eyes because they're racist. What? Racist against? What are you talking about? That's loyal to the lie. Why are these people doing that? And the reason I got on this whole kick that I'm talking about right now is because when I started doing this stuff, the biggest loyal to the lie was what? Chicago is doing good. There's no problems in Chicago. You're doing fake videos. That was called one of the first videos of mine that went viral on Twitter. It went viral. I'm on different platforms. And different things go viral on different things. Was me downtown. I don't know why I went there. I went there for a ticket or something in City Hall, and I parked. And, you know, I used to work downtown at the merchandise mart when I worked at the teachers union. So I know downtown pretty well. I went to school to downtown. I got a college degree from downtown. So I said, wow. I don't know where I was. I was on Adams or Madison. I was up by the river over there by Wacker, right? I said, it's completely empty here. Right? Look, this is the shelter here. What a scumbag, right? And I said, oh, what's this? Right? I come in explaining to you why I'm doing this, my foundational basis of doing this on a daily basis. So I told you about the migrants, right? I used to drive and I seen the migrants, I started videotaping. And I started listening to crime, right? And I, oh, wait, they're doing something at this place. This is a crime, and this is where it is on the radio. So that's how I did that. So the second part of it, where I talk about the economy and all this stuff going on, which I've done in the past, but now recently in the last few years, because I was downtown, and I seen it was empty. And it wasn't COVID anymore. This is, 3 years ago, I think, this video? So what was it, 2023? So COVID was over with. I said, it's empty, and I took a video. It was not even a minute video. And so look at this. It's completely empty here. It was at 10 o'clock, I think, in the day. It's completely empty. And then right away, I got attacked. Loyal to the lie. Loyal to the lie. You're a no good. You're a dumbbell. You're a buffoon. You're an ignorant. I got hit with a whole bunch of stuff on. What's this? Mostly by white men. White, middle-aged, 30s to 40-year-old men. It was weird. It was a weird thing that happened. Like, what's this? It's only a video, and I said, look, it's empty downtown. There's no one here. There's no one here. There should be a bunch of people walking. You're stupid. It's 10 o'clock. No one's walking around. You're a dumbbell. All kinds of weird derogatory stuff. Loyal to the lie. So then I started thinking about, why is this happening? Why would somebody be loyal to the lie? Why would somebody say there's people there when there isn't, when I'm doing a videotape? Why would somebody say this shelter is well run? This is a city-run shelter. You see the city-run shelter? It's a 24/7 shelter. You see that they're all hanging out, whatever it is, what it is. But I showed you in the back. They have a whole back area here where these guys could actually hang out in the back. I've talked about this since the migrants were here. The migrants used to be, this is where Giancarlo's died. The 5-year-old died of 4 infectious diseases here, and it was covered up by Brandon Johnson. They killed the kid here. The mom asked for an ambulance, by the way. The migrant mom, and they said, we're not giving you an ambulance because we're not giving you an ambulance because the kid isn't sick. You're faking it. And the kid died that day. The kid died that day. Here, that's all covered up. You guys don't know about that story? Giancarlo's died right here. Migrant kid, look it up. They covered it up. Here's the biggest story about this one. Loyal to the lie, right? You ever hear of Giancarlo's? I think it's Rodriguez or Martinez. I don't know what his last name. He has 4 names, right? These migrants use 4 names, right? You ever hear, did Ben Crump sue to somebody? Usually in those cases, you see Ben Crump, right? Ben Crump would get on, you killed the kid. You ever see Ben Crump take up that case? How about this? Look up the case. Where are the parents right now? Where are the parents? Loyal to the lie. Where are the parents of Giancarlo's? Why aren't they getting $1 billion for their kid being killed by the city of Chicago when he got infected at 4 or 5 infectious diseases? And then the city lied about it, and the city didn't give the family an ambulance until he was dead. He was right here. He died in this place. A kid died in here. A migrant kid died in here. Under the care of the city of Chicago. If that happens to anyone else, we'd be sued, we'd be broke, we'd be in prison. But since Brandon Johnson was the mayor, they're loyal to the lie. That happened right here. Look it up. Giancarlo's. Migrant child. Giancarlo's dies in shelter. Punch it in. I always say Google it, right? See, the way I try to make my life is simple. When you Google it, see that? I'm not reading a fancy book. I'm not reading a fancy website. Right there. Right there. It's right here. It happened right in this place. And then they converted it to an all-person shelter here, right? But loyal to the lie, they covered it up. And here's the big loyal to the lie on that. Why isn't the family suing the city? Where is Ben Crump? Where is Ben Crump? That's an easy lawsuit. The family disappeared. The family disappeared. If there was anyone else, it'd be a major lawsuit, except it's loyal to the lie. We're here where a kid died. And there's no lawsuit. There's no one held accountable for that kid dying. No one is held accountable. I just don't know why it's loyal to the lie. That's the last part I don't understand. Is it money? Some chump change? Why are people loyal to the lie so it harms others, right? There's rocks on the ground. Young black 18-year-old men are dead. Right? That young man is dead. Right? What was his name? Tyree? Yesterday he's dead. That young man is dead. Whether he had a gun and smoking reefer don't mean anything. He shouldn't be dead. People say live by the sword, die by the sword. Yeah, you can say that, but he shouldn't be dead. No young man should be dead. None. Zero. Everybody knows that's my philosophy, right? No young man should be dead. There's no reason an 18-year-old is dead. People think they confuse me and they put the loyal to the lie on me. They try to project their negativities, their racism, their biases, their death cult. I call that a death cult. When it's okay for an 18-year-old to be dead, that's not a good thing there. You should be questioning why he got involved in that lifestyle. You can say bad parenting or these, a lot of these Ku Klux Klan guys and weirdos and white supremacists. Oh yeah, that's them and that's that racist stuff. That's racism, right? But still, he's an 18-year-old kid. There was 18-year-old Italians. There was 18-year-old Irish people that were killing people back then, right? In the 20s and the 30s, and there was racism back then. But the point I'm trying to make here is what? loyal to the lie. You're looking at it. It's right in front of you. A kid died in there, and there's no lawsuit, and no one got in trouble. Remember Flint, Michigan, where they poisoned all those black kids with lead water? How many people went to prison? None. None. Zero went to prison. They poisoned the whole damn town. Most of them were black. Most of the kids that got poisoned were black kids. How many people went to prison? Zero. Who died here? Who died in this place? A migrant kid of infectious diseases. That was the fault of the shelter that didn't call the ambulance for the family, and the kid died. How many people went to prison? How many people went to prison? None. Zero. None. And we have a liberal, pro-social justice, pro-immigrant, pro- or anti-corruption government. That's what Brandon Johnson says. That he's for the people. Doesn't he? But why didn't the person that killed that kid go to prison? Right. You want to go see the migrant drug dealers? You can call them what you want, but that's a fact. You're going to see a bunch of people here dealing drugs pretty soon, right? 23rd and Halsted. That's where we're at. Then we'll listen to some news, all right? There's a lot of talk on here. This is a big thing. Look up Giancarlo's. Look up this case. Find out if there's any. I don't promote violence. Why? See, I'm not. Why are you saying I'm promoting violence? You know why I go to crime scenes? Because the government lies about what happens. That's why. So that means you're loyal to the lie. See, you're loyal to the lie. First of all, you're lying in your sentence. What purpose do you serve going to crime scenes? To show what's happening. Second, you are now saying promoting the violence. I just told you I am against violence. I have a 20-year-old article with the Sun-Times that's against the violence. So you're loyal to the lie. You're an internet terrorist. That's what you do. You're a social media internet terrorist that comes on and lies because you're loyal to that lie. And I don't know why you're doing that. Why did you learn how to lie? Why would you lie on me? You're lying on me now. I never said that. I just told you I don't like violence. Right? Marquise, right? Right, Marquise? Should I ban you off the live stream for lying? See, we don't like liars on our page. We don't do lying on our page. Right, Marquise? You like drug dealers? You like gangbangers? What do you like? What do you like? Is that what you're a part of? Or are you getting money from the government? Which one is it? How about this? How about we just say bye? Marquise. Let me take a screenshot of who you are. I like that. I want to make sure I have a screenshot of that. All right? And there we go. We don't like people that lie on their page. How about that? So now, we're going to go see. We're going to 5:30 News.
Radio.com.
5:30 Thursday. I'm Lisa Fielding. Here are the top stories on News Radio WBBM.
This is Haley Hansen. The Trump administration is suing to block Illinois gaming regulators from policing operators of prediction markets.
There's a lawsuit filed against a suburban high school after a student was stabbed while class was in session.
This is Carolina Garibay. Chicago-based lawyers seek billions of dollars for the family of a man who died while transporting a hazardous substance.
The ethics watchdog now calling for an investigation into Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Sports. Both teams off today, but the Hawks take on the Oilers on the ice in Edmonton. In business.
On that Piper Bloomberg, ahead of a holiday weekend, stocks was a bit higher than where they were sitting for most of the day. Dow was 61, Nasdaq gained 38 points, S&P up 7.
We're watching for storms tonight, 69 degrees light rain right now at 5:31. Well, the first of its kind lawsuit filed in Chicago federal court today over the state's efforts to regulate so-called prediction markets. The story from WBBM's Haley Hansen.
The complaint argues Illinois' attempt to shut down so-called designated contract markets regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission intruded on federal government's exclusive authority to regulate national swaps markets. It's the first by the CFTC regarding the policing of prediction markets operators. The Trump administration says the Illinois defendants, including Governor Pritzker and Attorney General Kwame Raoul, misapprehend the nature of event contracts, thus violating the Constitution. Lee Hansen, News Radio 1059 WBBM.
High school being sued after a student stabbed while in class.
A lawsuit named Zion Benton Township High School as being responsible for what the suit says are permanently disabling injuries sustained by a 17-year-old girl. That teen was stabbed by a fellow student during math class at the school on January 9th. Karen Tamas and her minor daughter have filed a complaint against the school, the attacker, and that girl's mother. The filing details the conduct and so-called negligence of Zion Benton Township High School District 126. WBBM has contacted the high school for comment. Terry Keshner, News Radio 1059 WBBM.
Lawyers are looking for over $2 billion for the family of a man who died in 2016 after he was transporting dry ice.
64-year-old Eric Johnson died in August of 2016 after he was found unconscious at the wheel while transporting coolers of dry ice from St. Charles, Missouri to Fayetteville, Arkansas for work. Coolers were given to Johnson by a subsidiary of well-known Illinois dairy company Prairie Farms Dairy Inc. Now, Chicago-based lawyers for the Johnson family are seeking $2 billion in an insurance.
Where you been, brother?
Filed Tuesday. Lawyers
Where you been?
No one told Johnson about the
Where you been?
which is the solid form of carbon dioxide. Darling, get ready. News Radio 1059 WBBM. News
So be replaced from now by deputies.
Root canals and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, who's doing it? Where are you getting that done?
That's responsibility.
That's messed up. Good seeing you, man. That sucks. I'm all right. You know, I'm doing my news and stuff, talking about corruption. People are saying, "Oh, you can't say this and this." I said, "Man, you need to start being honest. You know, you need to be honest. And why are we fighting for the people that need help? Like people, you know what I always thought about? Why aren't we helping this situation out, right?" I might go out west or something. I don't know what. I covered the shooting. An 18-year-old got shot on 66 in Wentworth. They gunned them down. And an 8-year-old got shot down on 35th Street yesterday. Really? Is that what, a migrant guy or what? Yeah. Where at? By 18th or over there? Yeah. You know, people don't get it. Look, you know, I ain't got nothing against whatever people do, but if you introduce violence and crime and weapons in it, then it becomes bad. Doing drugs is doing drugs. That's your choice. Living on the street, that's your choice. But when you introduce the negative, you know what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. You get along. We always talk about it.
I believe in
it's your free choice. It's your choice. It's your choice. But when you start introducing the violence into it and the guns, then that's when you get into trouble. And that's people say, I put this picture of this young guy, 18-year-old with a gun in him. We're smoking reefer. You're making him look bad. I said, I didn't take the picture. That's it. But that don't mean he's a bad guy. But now what happened? He ended up dead because something happened. You know what? You know how the street. But me and you are the same age.
Everybody has a problem with
You know what I said? Why don't they let them do it in the back underneath the highway back there, right in back of this place? Because then it won't rain back there. You know what I mean?
If they touch the keys, they change that gate.
See, why don't they let people be over there? If they want to sleep out. You see, what did you just say, my brother? My brother, you're just like, security does that. The people who run the place do it, right? You got it?
Listen, they got a hold down and get on that side so people go down there now.
Well, what happened? There was a lady who fell in the river here about a month ago. Did you hear about that? Yeah, she fell in the river here. They don't know. I gotta check that. She's right there.
I know, but she can't not swim.
But I don't know what it was. I heard it on the radio. I haven't checked the autopsy reports yet. If it's a drowning or drugs, you know how it is with hookers. They cover that stuff up with hookers. How many hookers that they kill and we don't hear about? They do that all the time. So
I'm just, where you going? You go to the west side.
I might
I'm
go to
on
the west.
the side. And Homan, that's what I'm on the west side.
I'm going a different direction. That's where I'm going. All right, good seeing you, my brother. What do I got here? I don't think I got anything today. I can't give you something to eat. I ain't got anything today.
You got $5?
I ain't got. You know me, I don't carry money. What happened to my tent, man? You never texted me, bro.
You said you didn't come back in a week, man.
I was there.
Doing good. Can't let me know if you get something.
How about that? Is that good?
92,000 solutions.
Man.
That's love.
And you have a grandkid, name him Kugler. Get out of here. You're crazy, my brother. It's going to sell everybody low. Look, if you guys want to do an interview, I will, but I don't want to get shot by no drug dealers. Are the migrants still dealing drugs here or not? The migrants here or not? I see the guy here. Look here. Are they the runners? They're not the big guys.
One dude like this.
Is he the same guy that's downtown, the white guy?
Yeah.
Is he the one that's making the shit, right?
Yeah. No, King on this shit. He was raised around Roosevelt.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. That's King.
Well, I don't want you to get in trouble, all right? So you be careful, all right? But tell people, this is what I want to do. And people, somebody just said, I'm making crime and I want people to be better. Yeah. Look, me and you don't know each other. We've been talking almost a year or 2 years.
But you're intelligent.
So, but we know each other, and I'm not here to put judgment on you, and you don't judge me, because we're trying to figure out. See, like I said, why don't we put this somewhere where it's safe for everybody?
For sure.
It's not safe to be on the sidewalk.
They push you up, and you can go in there and get it with that. You got connected. Then get the IDs and stretching up. You're not going to go to work for what do you call it? Midnight.
All right. Good. Take it easy, my brother. It's always good to see you, okay? All right. I know. I see you, man. We know each other. All right. Be safe, my brother. You be good. I don't want to be reading about you in the paper, okay? See you, my brother. Hey, what's up, man? So there we go. You got the whole scoop there, right? Migrants are dealing drugs here, right? But they're not in control. They're just runners, technically, right? Meaning they're distributors, really. That's about it. Because remember, migrants are migrants. They're new to this country. So I just talked to somebody I know for a couple of days. See, they're just sitting there. Why don't I show you the back? I always do this roll. Here, let me show you this. See that tent sitting there? Let me show you something. Because I'm videotaping this on another videotape. Let me show you this. So this is the shelter. That's the shelter right here, right across. And this is a 24/7 shelter. They don't have entry times. You can go in here anytime you need to. This is a different type of a shelter. This ain't, you got to be here on a time. This is a co-ed shelter. You can be man or woman. They separate you. But I'm going to show this because I'm making a video and I'm going to shut down the video off. I'm actually doing 2 videotapes. I'm live taping and videotaping right now. I do 2 things. So this is the back of the shelter. And now watch this. Are you telling me, look at what's back here. Look at what's back here. Look at all those bridges. You see the bridges there? Look at that. Are you telling me they can't, look at all this space here. This is SEIU local. This is the union here. Look at all the space the union has. See all the space the union has? See all the space that city land there, underneath those bridges there? Underneath that's the Dan Ryan over here. Look at all the space back here. Why doesn't the shelter that's run by the city allow those guys to be back here and do whatever they want? Put up a tent here, whatever they want. You see what I'm talking about? Loyal to the lie. Loyal to the lie. Oh, why are you promoting bonds? What did that guy say? Marquise about me? Really? I'm saying get off the street. Because it's dangerous to be on the street. Look at the land that the city and the government has here. They can put all those people back here, whatever they do back here. I'm not saying to hide them. I'm saying to keep them safe. This is not about hiding. This is about safety for them and others. But yet, The city doesn't do it. Why? Because they're loyal to the lie. They're loyal to the lie. I don't know why. Is it because of money? Is it because of philosophy? Is it because of ideology? But all I know is you're harming people. That's for sure. You're harming people. That's the harm. Loyal to the lie. Right? You'll see this coming up, right? We're going to maybe do a sunset video tonight, but we got a couple hours. I think the sun sets at 7 today. We're going to end up somewhere. I don't know where we're going to end up tonight. Alright, so there you go. You see the big space back here, and you can say, oh, yeah, you're mean. First of all, it's a 24/7 show. I talk to security here. I know the security that works in there. So they can come in anytime. Yeah, there's people who do drugs out here. Yeah, there's people who want to do drugs out here. Okay, that's fine. So why ain't they setting that up? I'm not saying that you're giving the drug, but why do we have that on the street? You see that there? And that's the white person there. Don't you see the white guy right there? That's a white. Those are white people there, right? You see that there? It's a white drug addict. You see that there? It's a white drug addict. White drug, okay? That's what you got. Again, loyal to the lie. But see here, Harris, this is a problem. Why do we have people who don't care doing the job? And you know what? I back the blue. I say this a lot. I don't want a police officer that worries about their check. If there's people working at that shelter and they don't care about these people, they need to be fired. Again, why? What did the guy say? When we were talking to the guy, I'm not going to tell you his name. When we were talking to the guy that came out of the tent, he came to my car to talk to me, right? He said it's the shelter that leaves them there. The shelter is what? The city. The city of Chicago. That shelter is run by the city of Chicago. The same city of Chicago that regulates sidewalks. So if they run the shelter and they regulate the sidewalks, that means what? They're allowing those people to be on the sidewalk rather than in the back or anywhere else. It's what you just said, Harris. They're making your video choppy. Oh. Yeah, that's how it is, man. Hey, look. Someone might take this comment really wrong right now. And if you do, too bad. I used to work, I told this story when I was on a murder scene down on I told you guys my story, right? Where was it? We're down there where the guy got shot in the head in the alley. I forget, 89th Street or 87th down there. 2 weeks ago, and I told you my whole story about, right? My students being murdered and all that stuff. I used to be a teacher. My kids were being murdered, right? I worked at Hyde Park Academy. And it's interesting that you just said that. And I said this yesterday, Harris. I said, and don't take this wrong, I'm not glorifying violence, I'm not glorifying gangs. I'm not. And that's the way it might sound like, right? Oh, let me get a difference here now. Those young men are stronger than the adults that lie for them. They're loyal to the lie. Because those young men, and you can, this is where what I'm going to say is very controversial, are doing what they want to do. They're living like, whether you think they're brainwashed, whether you think they're drug babies, whether you think they're raised by single moms, all that Ku Klux Klan racist bullshit they put out there, whatever. There's always been crime, there's always been juveniles that done crime, there's always been gangs, there always has been. There always has been. That's just some racist bullshit that people say, okay? But that don't mean you can't acknowledge that these young people are doing what they want to do. And I'll tell you this, for a young man to have reefer and a gun, he's a little bit of a resourceful person there because he can't buy neither legally Legally, he can't buy neither, but he has them. And then he can get a phone and put a picture on the Instagram. So, if you think that young man is stupid, then you're the person who is loyal to the lie. You're part of the white supremacist narrative against who? Blacks. Against Hispanics. Against people of color. You're part of that narrative. You become so brainwashed. And you can't even see, I like this graffiti you're seeing there, that you can't even see that you're part of the harm that you're causing to your own race.
In Chicago, the White Sox had their home opener rained out. They will make that up tomorrow against the Blue Jays. And Sox and Jays have Sean Burke and Dylan Cease listed as the starters. Cubs off today. They're in Cleveland tomorrow. It's the Guardians home opener. Kate Horton will pitch for the Cubs against Joey Cantillo. Horton very dominant in his first start of the season against the Nationals. To basketball, the Fighting Illini got their first Final Four workout at Lucas Oil Stadium today. Rick Craig with the details.
Jaws dropped and eyes popped as Brad Underwood's Fighting Illini took center stage.
You're always going to feel that when you walk on the court in a football stadium, and the seats a lot more people to be playing in front of. But it was really neat to see the kind of giddy, smiling faces of a group of guys that worked really hard to get here.
State Farm Center in Champaign seats 15,500. Toyota Center in Houston, where the Illini won the South Region 18-5. Lucas Oil.
Is the video better here?
Eyes on Illinois and on UConn.
Is it better? James, is it better? I'm trying to hear Park here, so it's better. Tell me, somebody give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Is the video feed better? And I'll repeat what I just said. I wasn't double recording this time because I recorded one thing and I'm James or Harris, can you hear me now? Is it less choppy? Is it less choppy? 23rd and Halstead homeless shelter. The city that runs people on the street. The city that doesn't take care of the people they're paid to take care of. About 5:30 p.m. April 2nd, 2026. Can you guys hear me better now? It's choppy, but I'm not moving. I don't know. Maybe you think it's because of the sky, because of the Is this still choppy? See, I'm using a different phone right now, so maybe I should... Tomorrow I know I'll use another phone or whatever. Sorry about that. So maybe, can you hear me now or not? Because then what I'll do is I'll repeat what I said. I think it's the core of my philosophy. I think people need to know what my philosophy is because people think I'm a certain way, but I'm not. I might be. I don't know. It's not. You can't self-judge. When you self-judge, then you become silly, right? There you go. Yes, but it's choppy. Maybe. How about if I go to another place? You tell me when it becomes. How about this? I'll go to a place. You tell me it's less choppy, and then I'll repeat what I was talking about how people self-perpetuate self-oppression. What they do, and that's what I was really talking about, Harris. I was talking about when people deceive themselves, right? One day I'll show you down there, but not right now. I don't. Right? This is a cool spot up here. I'll tell you. Watch you don't drop and don't crash here. It's a cool spot. I'm gonna take you to another cool spot. Maybe we can get better reception. Tell me when it's less choppy. I'll repeat what I was trying to say. Maybe I'll put it out. I should have recorded it with another phone, but I was uploading. I usually triple record, but today I'm double recording, right? That's all I'm doing. So, I'm gonna get to it. Might get storms that are chopping everything up. Oh man, I just muddied up my whole truck. Oh, that's bogus. That's bogus, and I just got mud all over me. Oh man. I just washed my truck 3 weeks ago. It's not there. They're listening in Anya. Wait. Oh! Hey, where's Marietta? Where's my help? Where's my person? She's like my producer almost. You know, we got a deal. If I get famous, she gets a cut. I doubt I'll ever get famous. I'm just going to be a dude driving around talking smack all the time in my truck. When I get older, I'll be in my wheel. You know what's going to be funny when I get older? Because I know my knees and my hip are bad. I shouldn't talk this way. When I get older and I have my wheelchair and my scooter, Marietta, I'm going to do live feeding from my scooter. You know what scooter I'm talking about? The handicap scooter. I have I'll mount my, what you may call it, this, whatever it is, the thing, right? My phone and my internet, whatever they have in the future. And I'll be live feeding from my motorized wheelchair or my scooter, you know, my fancy one. Is this better, Marietta? How's this sounding? Is it better? You can't hear anything. Huh. Wow. All right. I'm sorry it's happening. I'm going to try to park again. That's bad. Oh, that's not good. I'm going to check. Because one time Marietta told me this, and I didn't have a picture for almost an hour. And I kept talking, because I can't see, right? That's why I need people to tell me this. So I didn't see it, and then I kept talking, and there was no picture for you guys. I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. It's still choppy. I'm going to go over here. Maybe we'll just shut it down at 6 and restart on another phone, maybe? I'm going to go over here. This is a cool spot. I'm going to go to over there. I'm sorry about maybe it's the tornado or whatever is happening. I don't know. Here, I'm going to put this guy 3 phones running, but they're all different. I don't use the same phone for the live streaming. I have different. Oh, I know what it might be. I know exactly. No. Here, I do this. Let me try this. Some trick here. On and off. That. Let's see if that works there. Let's see if that works, right? I'm trying to fix it up right now while I'm driving. I'm trying to do it. See, I want to get that Elon Musk stuff. The satellite. Maybe that'll help you hear that one. I'm just saying. It's still choppy. I'm going to go over here and park here and see how bad it gets better over here. See, again, why is it choppy? Why is there internet? You know, I complain about that all the time, right? Now I got another phone running, but it's well, it is what it is. I'm going over here. Tell me how it is over here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to park. I'm not going to move, all right? You tell me how it is over here. I like this. I'm going to go outside. How about that? Oh, I like this. How's that? Is that better? How's that sound? Is it better sounding here? We can't understand what you're saying. Huh, that's bad. That's not good. I've been talking, and it's like I've been talking gibberish. I gotta figure that out. I'm gonna go on here. Let's see what's. Yeah, I can't get on my phone. It's a separate service here. Well, I'm sorry you're going through that. That's going to be bad for me, because then when I download it and upload it, there won't be no recording of it, right? How about that? Audio is choppy. Audio is choppy. Maybe I'll go outside. Should I go outside and see how it is? Why don't I walk a little bit outside and see if you guys can hear what's going on outside? You want me to go out there? I'll do that. I like this one. See if you can never been here. Tell me if it's better. Man, somebody lost the engagement. Look at that. What is this? What is that? Is that an engagement ring or something? What is it? Somebody's love got lost there. How's that? Is that better? It's nice out here. Is that better? Can you hear me better now or not? Oh. Is that better, Harris? Is that better? Can you hear me now or not? What I'm going to do is record what I said earlier. But I think when they started blocking me, I'm over here because the airplane is going. I might sit down here, right? See that? It's a nice spot here, right? This used to be, you remember when you used to drive on the highway here? Remember when you used to smell the bread? Wholesome bread was. You remember whenever you drove on the highway, you smelled the bread? That factory was right there. They tore it down. These are all new houses. These are mostly Asians over here. These are townhomes. Those are real expensive over here. This is Bubbly Creek. Everybody knows Bubbly Creek, right? Choppy still. Choppy. Why is it choppy? That's strange. How's it? Maybe because of the weather? Maybe because of that? Alright. Well, we'll finish up at 6. How about that? Maybe I'll go back on, right? Maybe I'll sit here and I'll talk over here. I'm going to sit down right here. I won't move. I'm going to sit down right here. How about that? That's why I'm out here, right? I'm trying to figure this out. How's that? Still choppy? My butt's going to get wet because I'm sitting on the sidewalk. See, and look, so I have this other phone. It's a different, see that? There's no coverage or something. So something's going on with, they're messing with the sky up there. It might be because of the rocket they shot up there. You never know, man. See that? Look, that's not working there. See that? There's nothing new. There's none of my new posts. So it's better now, right? All right. So this is what I was talking about. Can you hear that? Loyal. Let me record this too. So I have this because I'm going to repeat it. I forgot what I say. Sometimes I say things I forget. You know, that's what you get when you get older. So none of this is working. My other phone don't work now. It's weird. This phone don't work. It's strange. It's like I'm being attacked or something. Cyber attacked. It's really, really strange. I never had this happen to me. Now something, I keep pushing buttons. Nothing's working. I don't know what's going on. There we go. See, I push the button, it stops, it don't stop. I don't know what's going on. So this is what I was saying. Yeah, it's not. It's a virus. There's a virus in my phone. You see this? I can't stop the recording. There we go. So this is what I was saying, Marietta. When I was over there by the shelter where a young guy was killed, an immigrant kid was killed, and the city covered it up. I said, Ben Crump, where's Ben Crump? He would have sued the city, right? And what am I talking about? Loyal to the lie. Why would someone perpetuate a lie that harms their own race? And that's what I keep talking about, because I'm not black. I'm Eastern European. I'm an Eastern European immigrant. I'm not even Anglo. I ain't British. I ain't none of that shit, man. My skin ain't here, man. You can see my skin. It ain't. You can say it might be white, but it technically ain't white. I'm from Middle Europe. We were put down by the Europeans, man. We've always been enslaved, our people, right in there. But not. We were like indentured servants and serfs. But this is what I want to say. Why would you perpetuate? Why would you be loyal to a lie Why would you be loyal to a lie when it harms your own race? When a young man has a gun and a reefer and is posting pictures on the internet, then that's what he's doing. Whether it's good or bad, that's your judgment, your personal judgment, and that's a separate thing. But why would someone lie about it in public when that was the direct cause of his death? That young man that died yesterday is dead because of his lifestyle. That's why he's dead. That's a fact. Whether you like it or not. It's not about black. It's not about white. It ain't about Italian. It ain't about Mexican. It ain't about Italian. It ain't about Irish. It ain't about hillbilly. It ain't about none of that. You're loyal to a lie that allows young people, now it's mostly black in Chicago, to get killed when they're 18. He was an 18-year-old person who died yesterday with bullets. 4 people executed, and there was 4 shooters. Machine gun bullets. They shot him up inside the store there on, 67th and Wentworth, the shrimp joint. Why would you lie about that? What's the reason to lie about that? Who are you protecting? You're not protecting your own race. If you're black and you're lying about that, you're not protecting yourselves. He's a young man who's 18 who is black who's dead now. And you're saying that something's wrong with a picture that you post rather than there's something wrong with him dying. Do you see the loyalty to the lie? But yet, if you're black and you're loyal to the lie that's killing black people, then why would you do that? Why would you lie about your own race or ethnicity or religion dying? Why would you do that? Why would you allow someone to harm your own race and then to lie about it, and then you, if you're the same race, to lie about it too? That's bizarre. I don't even know what that is. I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of things. I know a lot of people. I'm not a smart guy. I'm not smart. I'm sitting out here I'm sitting on wet concrete. How smart I am to sit. Oh, by the way, there's goose poop. So look at this. I'm sitting on wet concrete with goose poop. And it's a storm coming. How smart do you think I am? Do you think I'm smart? Do you think I'm smart? I'm sitting on goose poop. I'm just talking about what I see, what I read. Again, I'm sitting on wet concrete with goose poop. That's the video you're watching today. Goose poop. We're gonna call tomorrow's article is gonna be wet goose poop. That's gonna be the title of the article tomorrow. Wet goose poop. But I see things, and I feel about things, and I'm concerned when I see a young black man getting murdered at a gas station, being shot by 4 other people. I don't know if they were black, white, Hispanic, or whoever they were. Then I'm concerned. That concerns me. When I see an 8-year-old that was shot at 35th and Rhodes, where the address was kept being wrong stated, right? They keep saying it's 35th and King Drive. That's not King Drive. It's Rhodes. That's 35th and Rhodes, where there's been a lot of murders. That's a very bad gang area right there. 35th and Rhodes. It's a bad area. Why would you lie about it? An 8-year-old, young, beautiful girl was shot yesterday. Why would you lie about that? That wasn't gang related. That was gang related. So was the 18-year-old shooting. Was gang related. Those were both gang related. Why would you lie about that? Maybe if you're white, you would lie about it. Maybe if you're Mexican, you lied about it. Maybe if you're Asian, you would lie about it. But why would you lie about it if you're black? Why would you lie about that? Be honest. Say, hey, they were hooked up. Hey, they were doing this. They were that. That don't mean good or bad. We're not passing judgment on them. Do you get where I'm trying to go here? We're not passing judgment. We're stating a fact. And when you get to the fact, then we can figure out what happened. And when we get to what happened, then we can figure out, was it good or was it bad? And And then what do? If it's good, then we want to repeat it. If it's bad, we want to fix it. Isn't that how we make our decisions? We get a fact, we think about it, we assess it, how it affects us, how it affects our family and our community. Then we decide, whatever happened, is it good or is it bad? And if it's bad, we don't want to repeat it. If it's good, we want to repeat it and make it better. That's how we assess issues. Anything it is, whether it's your broken car, whether it's riding a boat, whether it's the bad weather, whether it's growing that bad tree. You see that tree? It's got a sickness there, right? Yeah, I'm going into a monologue now. You might not like what I'm saying now. But why would you lie? Why would you be loyal to the lie? Loyal to the lie that harms your own race. Your own race. That wasn't a white child killed yesterday. That was a black child killed yesterday. That was a black child that was shot yesterday. Do you see what they do? When that 18-year-old was shot on Loyola, they had it all over the news. The national news, international news. You see that young man's news anywhere that was shot yesterday on, 67 in Wentworth? You see him anywhere? You see the 8-year-old's face and story anywhere on the news? Why don't we see that? Why don't we see that? Where is the outrage? That an 18-year-old was murdered yesterday and an 8-year-old was shot. Where is the outrage? And I'm going to say this and then I'm going to shut down. Why is the black community, and not everybody, and it's Hispanic too, and it's Asian too, and it's white too, and it's Southeast Asian too, why is there a segment of our population in Chicago that's loyal to the lie? Why do they allow our children in our city to be killed, to be harmed, to be maimed? Why did the city allow a 5-year-old migrant to die in a shelter of 4 infectious diseases and then cover it up? Why would you be loyal to that lie? What are you getting out of that? What do you get out of that? Do you get paid? Do you have some morality issue? What do you have? I don't know. I have no idea. That's why I'm sitting here. I wanted the connection to clear up to say that. Because it harms me. It hurts me. It hurts me when I see a young person that gets harmed and a young person that loses their life. That's an 18-year-old person. And look at the difference in how they treat each death. The Gorman death versus his death. His death was more violent than Gorman's. He was assassinated. He was executed in a gas station by 4 gunmen with all those bullets. This doesn't make either death more or less. They're both bad things. 2 18-year-olds killed. One gets national attention. The other doesn't. And the other one gets excuses. Don't put a picture up. Don't talk about it. You're not saying the truth. There is no truth. The only truth is he's dead. He's dead. And the second truth is no one's doing nothing about it. So that's all I got. It's 6:10 p.m. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to switch cameras. We'll see what's going on. I'm going to get up. I'm on this. What are you getting out of this? What are you getting out of this reporting black men dying? I don't know. Why don't you check out my work on this issue? Why don't you look up John Kugler and violence? Why don't you look me up, man? Why don't you look me up? Why don't you look up why I do this? You know why? Because it's wrong that any person dies, and it's wrong that people lie about it. It's wrong that the people lie about it. That's the problem. That's the problem. Black youth death in the city of Chicago. Got that? That's what's the problem. I don't get nothing out of it. I'm an old white dude walking around by Bubbly Creek. I ain't got shit to get out of it. All I got that can say is say my truth and say my voice. That's what I got. And that's the worst thing that I hate. The first person who says they want their voice to be heard, that it's discrimination and it's harmful when someone says something and you try to shut them down, it's the first thing that people say. But if I say it, I get told I can't say what I want to say. Yeah, that's life. Loyal to the lie. There's a barge over there. See that there? Ain't no goose poop over here. I'm going to sit over here. What do I get out of it? Nothing. Maybe when I go see St. Peter, he'll remember. Say, yeah, you tried to do the right thing. I don't do it for that either. Because I'm good with God. I'm good with Jesus, man. I don't need to deal with that stuff. I made my peace. How about this? I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm at an age where I can say what I want, do what I want, be where I want, and talk about what I want. And let's just say this. I've been around doing this type of work now. It's going on, I don't know, 22 years maybe? About 22 years, maybe a little long, 23, 24. I'm tired of seeing young men in our city gunned down on the streets. I'm tired of that. There's other issues that I don't like. But especially young people who are harmed and they end up dead. And then people make excuses about it, whether it's right or left, blue or red, Republican or Democrat, they all make excuses about it. They don't do nothing about it. They don't do nothing about it. And the next day, you see the next person dead. Remember, Gorman is the white girl who got killed, last week or 2 weeks ago? 18-year-old. But yesterday, we had an 18-year-old black kid shot. He killed. Plus an 8-year-old black girl got shot. Wasn't there a Hispanic girl that got run over by a scooter? Or she was on a scooter, she got run over down on South Shore? She was killed. So it doesn't matter the race. It matters that these are young people that are being killed, being harmed, and just like I showed you at the shelter, it's run by the city that allows people to be outside in a tent doing drugs. And it's known. And they have this, they have the resources, they have the space, except they don't do the things that help the people. I'm not talking about getting the guy off the drugs. I ain't talking about doing any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about using the things that we have to allow the person to do what they need to do so they stay safe, so they don't end up dead, so they don't end up doing something that creates a situation that gets them to a point where we're reading about them in the paper the next day. That's the point. So when they're 18, they can live to be 30, so they can live to be 40, so they can live to be 50, 60, 70, and 80. That's the point, and that's why I do this. Whether you like it or not, hey, that ain't my business. This is my business. This is my company. This is my news page. And this is my voice, and this is my story, and this is who I am. And if you don't like it, then that's how life is. It's like I say, you can change the channel. With that being said, I think I'm going to log off, switch phones, see what's going on, if there's any other radio calls, and go for it. Did a little monologue there. You might like it, you might not like it. And well, that's the way life goes. That's why we live in America, right? It's called First Amendment. Take it easy, everybody. Love everybody. Take it easy. I appreciate you telling me my sound was not the best, all right? Next question. What's your next question, Harris? What's your next question? What's your next question? I'll answer one more question. What about the serial killer that's dumping bodies in the river? Yes, girls. You know, I got a murder case on the west side, a hooker that was killed. You know, the people who know me contacted me. You know, I get contacted by people about cases. I can't talk about that. I don't do that. You know, there's a hooker that was killed. I was on the crime scene. They were walking through the crime scene. Here, I'll leave you with this. I was right about the log off. You just got me onto something now. And there's a lot of people that were dumped in the river. Look it up. River serial killer. Look it up. Look it up. Chicago River serial killer. A lot of people dying in this river. Look at the video from yesterday that we posted. A lot of us posted it from yesterday. Look at the one that shows the people crying. What do you see? What do you look on my page right now? I don't know it's the top no more because on Facebook it goes down. But if you look on my Twitter page and you look on the article that I wrote from last night, what's the picture show you? It shows you someone walking through the crime scene. Look at it. When I was at that hooker killing, she was beaten to death on the west side over there by Lake Street. It was about 2 years ago. The first thing I noticed is police laughing and walking through the crime scene. Look at the shooting of the 8-year-old girl last night. 3 people were shot. Look at the videos. Look at the crime scene. Look what the police are doing. Look what they do. Look what I just showed you at 23rd and Halsted. Look what the city and the government's doing. They were walking through the crime scene. They were destroying the crime scene. They were destroying the evidence. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? There you go. Look at the video. I'll show you the video of the, I found out she was a hooker later. Someone told me about the story on the west side. But that's the first thing I noticed when I pulled up to the crime scene. The cops were walking through where the dead body was. They were walking through there. Like, huh? Why would you do that? It's a crime scene. What is that? It's not infecting it. It's another word for it. And it's not infecting the crime. It's another word I can't think of right now. But look at the video from yesterday's shooting on 35th and Road. Look at it. Look what they're doing. Look at the videos. Look at the cops. Look at what they're doing. Look what they do. And then think about it. Why would they do that? Why would they do that to the crime scene? Especially if it's somebody that's poor. Maybe it's somebody that's a minority. Maybe they're an immigrant like John Carlos at 23rd and Halsted. Why do they do that? And the last thing is why are people loyal to the lie, even if it harms their own race? All right, that's all I got. I think that's too much talking. That's too much. I talk too much there. I appreciate everybody. Sometimes I talk too much. I shouldn't do that. So I apologize for that. That's downtown, by the way. This is Boathouse 57. They do the fancy rowing here. They got fancy boats here. These are the Olympic boats. You see that there? That's the ones that's skilling or whatever, the sculling. It's the really small boats with the oars. See that one there? Look at that. That's the fancy one for the Olympics, right? Take it easy, everybody. I love everybody. Thank you for watching. If sun comes up, I'll post it. Looks like it's clearing up here. You see that there? Maybe I'll go do a sunset video somewhere. Take it easy. I love everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you. SubX.News signing off here. What time is it? It's like the timestamp. It's 6:20 p.m. Oh man, look at that sun coming out. That's God talking. It's 6:20 p.m. April 2nd, Thursday, 2026. Sun's coming out. Take it easy.